a ceremonial building, a public building of some kind. At the top are these two as appears it has been seen. So, the dates for that are pretty good. This is an overhead view of one of the structures again. Basically what it would look like. This is of course a drawing. This is one of the models that the Japanese have done. I'll give you a general idea what it looks like. Apparently, this was natural rock, which the ancients terraformed or molded to their own way, and then they built platforms. This is just a model of a boat, again, for size. And that's all. I just wanted to be able to share that with you. If you have any questions on this, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them. And yes, sir.
Question about the gentleman holding his arms out. What was that standing up?
Oh, let me just run that back then real fast for you. I think that's probably a model of a boat. Oh, that?
It's in the air.
Yeah, this is a model of a boat, just to give an idea for size. This yacht's about 40 feet long in real life, and this is to show you how big the structure is overall. It appears that there were like houses or some kind of temple foundations on top. They've all been washed away, of course. They were wood, and all that remains is the stone. But
Who do the Japanese say these people were?
the Japanese are saying just exactly what I told you. They believe the same thing. They have traditions of Mu that go back centuries or thousands of years. But the real research on the tri-racial aspect of it came out about 1876 by a guy by the name of James Churchward. He was a colonel in the British Army. And he spent his whole life researching this before it was found. And he gathered up all the traditions of the Japanese, the Polynesians, and so on. And the theme that came back over and over again was this tri-racial idea of these. And sometimes, like the Polynesians, didn't even know about whites or blacks because they were so isolated, some of them in their islands. But they said that's part of our tradition, that there was this black people who shared power with the brown people who they were descended from. So this is now being accepted by the Japanese because Churchward is like big authority on Mu. Well, the origin of human life in Africa goes back long before this even. This is the origin of civilization, not of man or of life. That took a long time for human beings to rise up from their earlier beginnings to become civilized. This appears to be where man reached civilization. It took a long time. It took maybe, well, hundreds of thousands of years at least. Yes? It's really strange to see these giant steps. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know about the extraterrestrials, but it's interesting you mention about the giants, because the Polynesians have said about how giants did build these places. And there's all kinds of stories. So I don't know that they were actually giants, but they might have been very, very tall people. That's right. Yeah. These structures...
These structures are all oriented east and west. That means that they oriented with the rising and setting of the sun. Right. Absolutely. Yeah, you've done good research. Yeah. Well, if you have no further questions, I really thank you for coming and letting me share this with you. I think this is interesting and important stuff, and we're going to be featuring more of it in our magazine. Yes?
I have a question concerning these tablets and these letters. What do the letters look like?
The letters, they look like part Egyptian, they look part Phoenician, but they're not. They look kind of Phoenician, they look kind of Egyptian. Now, some of the letters are Egyptian, and you can translate words, but you can't translate a whole sentence. So it's like a mix of something. But they haven't figured out what that language is on those plates yet. It looks Egypto-Phoenician. The plates are all being held by Mr. Russell Burroughs. He is the discoverer of the cave. And he has them all warehoused, and well, he sold some. He sold some to professional investigators who've done tests on them. And it was important for him to do that because these investigators have proved that they're authentic. If he had just kept them, you know, people say, well, maybe you made them, you know. So they've been thoroughly tested and found they are real. They're real in the sense that they are ancient, that they were made 2,000 or more years ago. And so all this is going to be coming out soon. It's coming out in our magazine, the next issue. We're not going to be the only ones that are covering it. It's going to be, there's a television special made now, going to be out early next year. It's called The Mystery Cave of Many Faces. At least that's the name they're using for it now. The cave is located in southern Illinois. Pardon me? He has not disclosed exactly where because he's afraid that people will go in there and destroy it. But he just told us it's around Olney, Illinois, if you know where that is. Olney, it's like, okay, I'll give you an idea. It's like 120 miles southeast of St. Louis. Yes, sir.
You see a lot of these movies, a lot of things that apply in the government, but these secrets are revealed in the seed and sometimes more often.
Yeah.
Why is it that they haven't done this with this?
Well, I think that there's all kinds of political reasons involved. People have their own personal agendas, and I don't want to really talk on that because I don't know why they would not want to share this. The only thing I know is that there's a new generation of people coming up now who are open to the possibility of people from Africa, especially from Mali, who came here and did great things. So it's coming out.
I'm suspicious that the government has in the seed with this particular thing.
I don't know. The government is very hard to second guess, you know. So our opposition, or the only opposition we found to this, it really comes not from the government, but from old-style archaeologists. The reason why is because an archaeologist can't make much money by themselves. Archaeology doesn't pay. The only way you can make money being an archaeologist is to write a book, and you go to class, you have a class you teach, and you make all the students buy your book, see? And your ideas are in that book. And if somebody comes along and says, oh, no, there was somebody here before Columbus, then he's going to object to that because he doesn't have that in his book, see? So we're getting resistance from these old-style archaeologists, but they can't stop it now because it's too well documented. Yes, sir?
Does this shake some of the now standing secret societies as far as what they've been teaching their
Yeah.
memberships? It would kind of like shake their foundations to the point of what?
Well, I think some of these secret societies, I mentioned like the Masons, for example, the Masons have known about some of this for a long time, but they keep it all to themselves as part of their lodges. And so now some of the stuff is going to be public knowledge, so it'll be interesting to see how they react.
It wouldn't be any, in other words, the money that people spend would be sort of like for what?
Well, I don't know. I can't say that. Yeah, I don't think I can answer that authoritatively. I'm just a reporter. I'm not a political scientist or an archaeologist, and my job is just to get this stuff out. Well, I got to be honest about it. Okay. I didn't think it was that much, but I know that there have been traces of blacks found in China, and that also is suppressed or just not publicized at all. But I never heard of a number quite that huge, and that the Chinese knew about it like for many, many years. You know, but that's part of the migration from Mu through the Pacific, it appears. Yes? No, not in the islands of Japan so much, but it's an interesting point that the Japanese people represent, you know, a homogeneous race, but the people on Okinawa, they're racially different. They're racially very, very different. And they don't even speak the same language. The people on Okinawa don't even consider themselves Japanese. So it looks like there's some other influences at work there over a very long period of time. Something. Yes, ma'am. It looks that way. Yes. 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 Right. See, there have been legends about this civilization before Egypt, but no proof. But now, with the DNA testing, with these structures found off of Japan, there's a lot of indication that what we're looking at is, in fact, Mu. And also, just to study the legends of the Polynesians, where they talk about it. I mean, you don't have a myth that survives for hundreds or thousands of years without having a kernel of truth behind it. And all these are just different pieces of a puzzle which are coming together. So yeah, Mu looks like the first civilization. It does. Atlantis? That's a whole other subject. I can't even begin to get into that now. maybe another lecture. I'm sorry. But I'm kind of focused on this. Well, I think a valid point you bring up, we are taught in school that the earliest civilizations are Egyptian and Mesopotamian, that nobody came over to America except Columbus. I think these are all outdated ideas. We're going to find that there were many people here before Columbus and that there were several civilizations before Egypt, that those people got their ideas from places like Mu. Maybe Mu isn't the oldest. Maybe there was some even before that. I don't know. But we do know this is before Egypt. I would not rule out Atlantis or even other places we don't even know about yet. I like metaphysics a lot. I'm interested in it, but I try to keep it separate from this. Yeah. The fifth. Yeah. Right, right. That's Madame Blavatsky and the Theosophists. Oh. Well, you're ahead of me there, I think. Yes, yes. Right, very interesting. That's the end of... Something big will happen then.
You showed that other clip that I asked you to show back. It seemed as though, in my eyes, play no tricks on me, that it was being held in the air by itself, that model ship that was standing.
Oh, he just had a thin wire that held it up, that's all. Yeah, sure. They didn't want to show that.
That's what I want to know. You sure they had the wire?
Yeah, yeah, you can see it clearer on the video. I just took this off the video there. Yeah, he wasn't levitating his ship or anything.
All right, yeah.
So, okay. Well, any other questions? Well, again, thank you very much for allowing me to share this with you. And the Washita also is going to be carrying some of this in their newspaper.